And everybody, welcome to the Arkansas Football Report with Otis Kirk. I'm Jason Patterson. I want to thank your sponsor real quick, Koi Southern Eats. You can find all of their great products. Find all of their great products in Central Arkansas, Northeast, and Northwest Arkansas. Also, head over to koisouthern.eats.com, and they will get you all taken care of. Sorry about that little lag there, y'all. You have to go check out Koi's here in the coming weeks. They're going to be opening up a new restaurant inside the Hotel Hot Springs down in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And we'll have Clay and Tracy on here in the next couple of weeks to kind of go over that and kind of look and see what they have to offer there. So be sure to look out for that. So let's bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Otis Kirk. Otis, how you doing, my guy?
Hey, man, doing great. Doing outstanding. No, I'm doing good.
You look rested.
Yeah, it's been a pretty mild week, man. I mean, got a big prospect day today, but it's been an easy week. It's been easy a couple of weeks. It's been easy since the NIL. We were just talking about that. I'm sorry. Yeah. Since the portal closed, it's been a lot better. Yeah, since the portal closed. Nothing to do with the NIL. I'm sorry. We were talking about the NIL before we went on the show about some 16-year-old kid at LSU or something.
Yeah.
Had NIL on brain. But no, since the portal closed, well, I mean, since that 5-day window in January, since it's gone. I know the portal's still open for schools losing coaches, but not having to be out chasing recruits. It's 5:30 and 6 o'clock every morning. So no, it's a lot better now.
Man, we were talking just a little bit ago about NIL and how Lane Kiffin has got his dog Juice an NIL deal, and I don't think that there is any stretch of the imagination that we could get your dog an NIL. We can get the Bulldog an NIL, beating up Lucky Dog all the time. We can get my dog Max. He can get an NIL too. Yeah, he's the best rabbit chaser I know. I'm telling you. We can get these dogs hooked up though.
Mine needs one just so I can feed him. He eats a lot, man. That Bulldog can throw it down. So he throws it back. I mean, he can knock down a sack of dog food pretty fast.
Man, so you said that he got a Great Dane this morning. Is that right?
Yeah, he beat up Lucky Dog, Great Dane on Lucky Dog. Yeah, he got in front of the TV. He got serious. He got off the couch. When he gets off the couch and gets in front of the TV, that's when he's really serious about working them over, you know. He got the person singing the national anthem the other night. I have no idea what happened to it. It was before the Lakers game, before some game. I think maybe the Lakers, I don't know. Before a game, they were singing the national, and he hears that every night or every week, several times, you know. But for some reason, I don't know if he saw something in the crowd. I don't know what happened. He jumped off the couch, went over and beat him up. I don't know what that was about. Usually I know what it's about, but that one I don't know. I mean, something, because like I said, the national anthem, he hears it every time the Lakers or somebody plays, but he got mad that night about something. I don't know. Maybe he's having a bad day. I don't know.
So let's get into this. You're just talking about prospect day. We got quite a few offensive linemen, quite a few athletes that are going to be on. Tell us a little bit about who's going to be here today and for the weekend.
Well, two of my favorites in the state of Arkansas will be here. Otis Kirk from Marion, the 2025 two-way lineman, and Danny Beal Jr. from Cross County. He'll be here 2026. He's 2026. Both these are two-way linemen. Kern, I think, will be a defensive line. Well, there again, it depends on where he goes. But I think both these kids will probably get looked at on defense first. I mean, because if you can play defense, you want them on defense because they can always move somebody to offense. You don't usually move somebody from offense to defense. But Otis Kern's about 6'4". Both of them in the 6'4", 300, 305, 315-pound range, Jason. Kern is somebody, I don't know if it's 24/7 Rivals Scout, or not Scout, but 24/7 Rivals or On 3 named him the #1 prospect in 2025. It's from Marion, got tons of offers, Arkansas, Georgia, whatever. Beal's got a lot of offers, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Auburn, I think Auburn has offered him. I had it in the story yesterday. But both those kids are here, or they were supposed to be here. I mean, I'm assuming they showed up. Anthony Kennedy Jr., sophomore from Little Rock Southwest, was here a couple of weekends ago. Just to plug the show tomorrow, he will be on my TV segment of the Pig Trail Nation show tomorrow. Kennedy will be on there with me. Anthony Kennedy Jr. He's another one of those 6'6", 265 pounds, 6'5" defensive end. These are linemen in Arkansas, young kids, Jason, and these are the type kids like Charlie Collins that you cannot let leave the state. If you're Pittman in Arkansas, you've got to keep Carius Kern, Danny Bill Jr., Anthony Kennedy Jr. You cannot let you may lose some player, but you cannot lose these big linemen. Most of them are. Some of those are two-way. Kennedy's defense. I think honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Kern, Bill, and Kennedy all start out. Well, Kennedy's going to play defense, but it wouldn't surprise me if all three of them play defense and start out in college. But you can't lose those kids. Those are the type of kids you've got to keep inside the state, man. And I mean, there's some big kids, and that's not even counting a guy like Cody Kennedy. I'm sorry, Cody Taylor. God, Cody Kennedy. Cody Taylor. They're killing Anthony Kennedy. You got Cody Taylor. You got Cody Kennedy. You got KJ Jackson, KJ Jefferson. Idiots like me are going to get those names mixed up all the time. So, but those linemen you can't let leave the state. You just can't do it, man. They don't. As I said about Kennedy a couple of weeks ago, those kids don't grow on trees, man.
No, they don't. That's one of the things, and that's not only at the college level, that's also at the professional level too. Yeah. Finding quality defensive linemen, and it's so hard because it's a certain mindset that you have to play that position. Yeah. And it's not reactive.
Mindset, all of it, aggressiveness.
Yeah. You have to have the aggressiveness. You also have to have that instinct of that motor also, of a continual wind all the time. And I think that's the difference between like an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman. Defensive lineman, you're constantly, swimming up channel, versus an offensive lineman that's more reactive than proactive.
Yeah, I'll tell you another one to keep an eye on. Now, he's not from Arkansas, but he's here. Cash Courtney from Carthage, Texas. He committed. He's about 6'5", 265, committed to Eric Mateus when he was at Baylor. October the 29th, he committed. But when Mateus left, he's still committed to Baylor, but obviously he's visiting Arkansas today. It would not surprise me to see Cash flip over from Baylor to Arkansas. It would not surprise me at all. Carthage, Texas, 3-star kid. But that's another lineman that's supposed to be here today, 2025. You got Brock Heath from Overland Park up in Kansas. Blue Valley Northwest is here. The other offensive linemen they've offered. I'll tell you an interesting situation is Kelton Jones. He's from Coffeyville, Kansas, not the junior college, but the high school there, the Field Trail High School. He's Field Henley High School there in Coffeyville. Here's the deal about Kelton. He's 6'4", about 315, 320 pounds. And Penn State's offered him, but Arkansas has not. So I've got him on watch offer today. Watch out for an offer for this kid. Possibly could get one. I don't know, but I know Penn State's offered him. He's from Phil Kinley High School in Coffeyville, Kansas. He doesn't have as many offers as some of these other kids, but Coffeyville's a little bit different place. I mean, when you think of Coffeyville, you think of the Red Ravens, junior college. But with him, he's high school, and he's going to get a bunch of offers. But anyway, he's here, and I look for Arkansas to possibly offer him. They may not, but I think they might. There's a lot of kids here. Some quarterbacks in the 2026 class. Cameron Pigg is a tight end from Florence, Alabama that's here. Has there ever been a name more Razorback than Cameron Pigg?
I'm telling that. Yeah, you just caught my attention with that too, because that's why I had an instant stop. I was like, hey, hold on. This kid is destined to be a Razorback.
Yeah, I remember Razorback was a kid, a linebacker from Texas named Razorback was his last name, and he didn't come to Arkansas. I think Arkansas backed off of him later on. But Cameron Pigg, those 6'4", 240, I guess, but got some offers. But Arkansas would be a good fit for him. Jacoby Hobson is a linebacker, safety, 6 foot, 215. I'm sorry, 6'1", 205. 6'1", 205, 210, 215, somewhere there, 6'1", not 6
Good
foot.
size, yeah.
Yeah, safety, linebacker, either one, 4-star out of Mississippi. He's here today. He's 2025. I like him. Well, everybody likes him. He's got a lot of offers. Arkansas offered him. This is his at least second visit here. I said something. I teased to the quarterback, Grant Smith's here. Michael Clayton from Orlando, Florida. Grant Smith from Texas. Both those kids have been offered by Arkansas along, Kane Archers in that class, who I like better than any of them. But they're both here today.
Is Kane going to be up today?
No, not today. Danny Beal, I mentioned. Oh, I'll tell you a kid. Colton Yarborough is here today from Durant, Oklahoma, the #1 player in Oklahoma in 2026. Colton was here at the picnic back when they had that in July, at the end of July. Well, Colton Yarborough is one of my favorite recruits. I mean, kid from Durant, big time player, man. He's a defensive end. If Deke Adams could pull him in to go with Kavion Henderson and Charlie Collins, who he signed last year, man. I mean, but Colton Yarborough's got offers from everybody, and he's going to be hard to get, but he has family ties. I think he told me, I'm pretty sure he told me his grandma graduated from Arkansas. I believe that's
where some ties.
He told me his family connection last when he was here in July. I talked to him outside afterward, across in the parking lot, and he told me that his grandmother, I believe, graduated from Arkansas or went to Arkansas or something. But anyway, he's got a few ties here. He's got some interest because he was here in July. Now he's back for this prospect day. But he's boy, if you could pull him in, I mean, I'm telling you, he's #1 player. I don't know which recruiting service, maybe all of them. I don't know which one has him #1 in Oklahoma, but I know some of them do, and I don't doubt that. I mean, I don't know if there's a better defensive end in the country than Colton. So there's a name for you. Ryan Gilbert is a defensive cornerback from Mesquite Horn, Texas. That's impressive kid. So, they've got tons of prospects here today. I think there's, probably close to 20 of those kids have, Division I offers. So there's a lot of prospects here. This is by far the best one of the three they've had. They had one the last 3 Saturdays, and obviously it wraps up today. But we'll see how this one goes. So far, no commitments out of them, but some offers have come out of them. They have been offers come out. And so we'll see how this works out today and see if anybody commits. If somebody committed, one I'm keeping an eye on would be Cash. Is Courtney, Cash Courtney. But I don't know that with him being committed to Baylor, Jason, I don't know what he would commit today. I mean, he might want to go back home, talk to Baylor coaches, and not let them read it on social media. You know what I mean? So he might not go public. He might not commit today, or he could commit and not go public. But that's one that I'm kind of looking. I think sooner or later, Cash Courtney will flip from Baylor to Arkansas. I really believe that because I think he went to Baylor in large part because of Mateus. Now, Baylor's obviously close. Waco's closer to Carthage than Fayetteville is, but we'll see if that's the difference. I don't think it's that much. I mean, I don't think it's a big difference in distance. Some, but I mean, I don't know how important that is to the kid. We'll see, but that's one I'm looking for that sooner or later, I think they'll pull in him. And like I said, they've got to keep those, not just Kennedy was here 2 weeks ago. You've got to keep Bill and Kern in the state too, where Georgia's offered Kern. I mean, everybody's coming after Kern. SEC schools are coming after Beal and other schools too, not just SEC, but Kern is one that you've got to. But he came to camp here, got offered last summer. Been here. I'm pretty sure he came to a game or two. I'm almost certain he did, but we'll see how that plays out. But sooner or later, they're going to get. And of course, like I said, with Ken and Pig, I mean, he's destined to be a hog, man. If Morgan Turner doesn't get him, Morgan needs to figure out why. I mean, he got to know. I mean, that kid was destined to be a hog. So come
Oh
on,
my
man.
gosh.
You do your work on that.
You're going to have to get him on Picture Nation at some point if that's the case. Because my gosh.
Yeah, I mean that's a great name. I mean, Cameron Pig. I mean, Cannon Pig. He yeah, he's a big kid, 6'4". I mean, and they signed the tight end from they didn't sign a high school tight end last year. They signed the kid from Eastern Michigan, but so they could use a high school tight end. I know you've got Luke and obviously Ty, and you've got those young guys, but in Shamar, but you didn't sign a tight end last in the 24 class from high school. So they could use one in 2025, and Cannon would be a good one to get. He's got some offers, Arkansas, but he's got other offers. I mean, he's got a pretty good list of offers.
I'm kind of seeing a trend also in college football that's trickled from the NFL. It's starting to get into the college ranks, where you're starting to see linebackers and safeties being able to interchange with each other, and you're not seeing the larger linebackers that you're used to seeing, the 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" guys weighing around 240, 250. You're starting to see guys that are more of that hybrid 6'1", 6'2", 215, almost like a Steve Atwater size.
Yeah, I mean, what he got is used to the old guys 6'4", 275, 6'3", 250 inside linebackers, because it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust they were going against. Now, the linebackers almost got to be a defensive back. And so, you're seeing guys that, interchange between safety and linebacker. And because it's getting to where they've got to defend the pass as much as they do the run, Jason. And you've got to have linebackers with speed. Now, if you can get the guy that's 6'3", 250 and can run even like a tight end, or a wide receiver, then you're that guy's gold. But you're not, but the old guys big and not that fast but could plug up the middle. They're not that common anymore, because there's just not that many teams runs like a 3 yards in a cloud of dust. The old, Woody Hayes and Barry Switzer or Wishbones and stuff like that, so you don't see that. I mean, you're right. There's linebacker and safety. I think they want the linebacker to be a little bit bigger than a normal safety, because he's still got he's in more traffic up there at linebacker than the safety is at the back end of the defense. But you still got to be big enough to fight your way through all that traffic with the offensive line, everybody colliding. But that's a good point. You're seeing linebackers are more like safeties than they are. Used to, you could almost see undersized defensive tackles move to linebacker because, they were slightly undersized. But now you're seeing, instead of seeing linebackers like defensive tackles, you're seeing linebackers like safeties. Yeah. It's because of the offensive change, the passing offenses. I mean, whether it's Gus Malzahn, whoever, all these people that started these passing offenses, they've helped change college football. There's been a bunch of
one of the things that I think that has changed, and I feel like the defense has not evolved as fast as the offenses have. And the reason why I say that is because you still have the larger linebackers that are now going smaller, but you haven't seen a fullback in ages. And the last one that I can remember at Arkansas was Kara Small, and that's been years ago. So now you're starting to see, because that's the reason why you had those bigger linebackers, because you had to be able to negate that fullback to get to for that third level, to be able to get up to the running back. Now you have basically running back on running back. You don't have to worry about a fullback anymore, and you're having to be able to run side to side, and that's the reason why we're starting to see those smaller linebackers as well.
Yeah, and you know what? I wish Arkansas would. I know you're not. I know you're not going to sign a fullback, but I wish Arkansas would use somebody, either a linebacker or a tight end or somebody, and do a few fullback packages like on that short yardage stuff. Especially if you're not going to go under center. or if you're not going to do the quarterback sneak, then have a fullback. And I think they used Dominic Johnson there a time or two, maybe last year, not as a full, but as a package or two where they had him line up at fullback, if I remember right. But yeah, I'd like to see them do that a little bit because I think it would help on those short yardage situations. That's about the only time you see a fullback at any level now is, for the most part, is when they're in short yardage. And you don't have to actually, you could take a guy, a tight end, a tight end or a linebacker or somebody, or even a defensive end or somebody, and use them in those situations. And I'd like to see them do that a little bit more on the short yardage because you have, even if you've got, let's say you got Jacoby or, them under center, and you hand off the running back, it's still nice to have a fullback in front of him. So, but anyway, we'll see how all that plays out. But, yeah, you're right. The fullback position is pretty much going down the side. Now you have tight ends doing H-back stuff and, going in motion and stuff. But, yeah, just the true lineup, fullback, out of the I formation, doesn't happen much anymore, man. Very rare.
And that's the reason why you see a lot of running backs getting hurt more and more these days, because they're not taking that second blow. They're taking that initial blow full force. Yeah. And so that's also watered down the market for running backs too, because they're going to get hurt a lot easier. Yeah. And so there's a lot that goes into that. But I really think that whenever you get down to the brass tacks of things, I think that's one of the main reasons why you are seeing a lot of running backs getting hurt, is because they're taking that initial blow from. Yeah. It doesn't matter whatever guy's coming downhill at them, they're getting it.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and that's one thing that's but just, man, I mean, like you said, you turn on the TV and you watch a game, no matter who it is, you just don't see the old I formation with the fullback in front of the running back anymore.
No power eyes anymore.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, Carroll, man, he'd break helmets when he would block people, and I like that. I like that. There again, I'm not naive enough or dumb enough to think it's going to be the offense they're going to use, but I do like the threat of having that, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is talking about using it as have that in your playbook, the power eye some, and I think it would help in some of these short yardage situations. I just goal line, red zone situations. I just think it would help. It gives the defense something else to think about in the red zone and in the short yardage. And if it's something else they have to practice for, even if it's just 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes they didn't work on something else. It gives them something else to have to prepare for, Jason, if nothing else. And I think it would benefit to use that. Of course, I'm a little old school there, so I like that. But and like I said, I'm not, by no means, I don't want anybody to leave here thinking I'm wanting to go back to power I. That's not what I'm saying. No, I'm just saying, if you've got that in your playbook and you've got that possibility, you've got to
at least look at it.
No, yeah, you got to honor it some, and it gives them something else to prepare for. But I think Arkansas struggled in the red zone at times, and I think it would help to have a fullback in there at times. Some of the time.
Wouldn't that be interesting if Bobby Petrino understood or knows that that might be something that he could use to his advantage coming into next year, knowing that more teams than not are going to be looking at a spread offense with a single back, or empty for that matter. And, it's 2nd and 7 and they're on the other side of the 50, and they line up in the power I. There's not a lot of defensive coaches that are going to be looking for something like that. And I think that's where, again, like you said all along, Bobby's a play calling genius. And that's something that if he knows that that's going to be an advantage to him, he's going to take that and he's going to run with it.
Yeah, Bobby is great at getting every advantage to his favor, and if it's something that's going to give him an advantage, he's going to look at it. And he's the best tactician at something like that. I mean, in my book, I think he's the best. Everybody's got an opinion on that. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. But who's the best? But I think he is, and I think it's going to be to Arkansas's advantage. And Bobby's going to do whatever it takes legally, to get an advantage there, and he can figure this stuff out and know when to use it, where it would benefit the most. I think he's just outstanding at stuff like that, Jason. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that's where he comes in. One of his strengths is that. And so we'll see how it plays out, man.
So really quick, Fishman, I see all your comments on here, man. I will be getting to those. Just a quick little break for just a second. I want to thank Koi Southern Eats for all of their great products that they put out, and also all of their continued support here at hogsville.net. Make sure to go online at koisouthern.eats.com to go check out all of their great items. And they'll be opening up a new steakhouse in the Hotel Hot Springs here in the next few weeks. We'll have Tracy and Clay on talk about that. So Otis, let's talk about NIL stuff here just for a few minutes, because I didn't get a chance to kind of go into it. Sorry, I'm letting my sound producer out. Max is having to go outside here for a second. You see Nick Saban retire. You've seen Roy Williams. You've seen Mike Krzyzewski. You've seen Pete Carroll.
NFL.
He's leaving the NFL. You see Bill Belichick that might not be walking the sidelines anymore too. You're starting to see a lot of more coaches. You see Jim Harbaugh. He's left Michigan, and I really think that with NIL, eventually, and I think this is what Nick Saban was kind of looking at too, you're going to be moving to more of an NFL style front office in the athletic department, because coaches can't sit there and juggle the NIL and what they leave that opening for him. Juggling the NIL pay and how much each player is going to get. You don't have enough time in the day to sit there and negotiate. You don't have enough time to recruit. Hell, that doesn't even count having a coach. And there's going to have to be some load taking off of some of these coaches, so that they can perform their jobs adequately, so that they are putting the most into the kids and into the program, and fulfilling the promises that they gave not only these parents but these kids, and making them the best football player that they can be. And that's I talked about this back in November on Hogville on one of the message boards and one of the threads, and I'll repen that so that way it jumps back up, kind of being relevant to what we're talking about. But you're going to start seeing a lot of these college athletic departments where you're going to have an athletic director, then you're going to have like a GM over NIL itself. It may be just for football, it may be for health, for all sports for that matter. And then you have the folks that are going to work for them, and then you're going to have all the coaches off to the side. I think that's the model that they're trying to really kind of bring to the table, but I don't know exactly how fast that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean it's a load. I mean, I thought it was interesting when Bobby Petrino was hired. He said he didn't know what any of those receivers were getting, or maybe he said players. I don't remember which way he worded it, but he probably said players, because he was coaching quarterbacks down there, not receivers. But he said he didn't know what those players were making today, and that's interesting, because as an assistant coach, I can see that, because you just got it's. Look, the NIL stuff is almost a separate deal from coaching in some ways. I mean, the coach is going to be involved. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we know that the coach is going to be involved in anything that goes on in his program. But you're right. I mean, I don't know that he has time to do all the. You've got to have somebody else figuring all this stuff. The coach doesn't have time to recruit and game plan and do all the stuff and deal with that on hourly basis. You just don't have time to do that. Nobody does. And I think it's what's running some of these coaches. It's going to make it easier for a Harbaugh type when he has a choice between the NFL and college to say, bye, I'm going to the NFL. And don't get me wrong, you've got to deal with egos. You've got to deal with prima donnas up there, people making a lot of money. And, so it's not like you're leaving all your headaches behind when you go to college. Pro sports, be it NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, whatever. It's not like you're leaving all your problems behind you, but it is a different amount of problems. And most people feel like you can deal with egos and stuff if you're the coach, but dealing with some of this stuff, it's so time consuming. Like on the NIL, I think you're right. I mean, I think you've got to have somebody kind of figuring all this stuff out and then taking it, maybe presenting it to the coach, Jason, instead of the coach doing all the math, all the figuring, have somebody else do that and then present it to the coach in the sense that, okay, here's what we've got, here's where we're going with this. But
because you're going to have a GM, you're going to have a salary cap liaison, probably a lawyer of some sort or an accountant that is good at running numbers. And you got another guy that's going to be negotiating the deals. That's the reason why Nick Saban left the NFL, was because of all the headache and mess that was starting to present for him in Miami. And when he went to Alabama, he just had control of the team and what they did on the field. And don't get me wrong, there's a certain level of responsibility off the field that a lot of college coaches do and have to have. But at the same time, you didn't have to worry about salaries and NIL and who negotiating and all that crap. And he was having to deal with that. And he just got to a point where it was just, he didn't want to deal with it anymore. And that's why you saw, I think that's the reason why, that you saw him move on from Alabama. And there's not enough hours in the day to be able to coach, manage, have a life. I know him and Miss Terry have a life. I know Sam and his wife have a life outside of football too. And they have to be able to balance that, because if not, it's not worth it. It really isn't. And so, Fishman also says Pittman doesn't need to be making the Kool-Aid jugs boil over next season too, because he sure fooled us with last year's team. No, I will say that I don't think he fooled us. He honestly believed that it was going to work, and when it didn't work, it was on him. But I don't think that you're going to have Sam this preseason hyping it as much as he did. He's got a quarterback competition. He's got a running back competition. He's got to find 5 offensive linemen that have to come in now and start. Because let's face it, Otis, the 5 that were out there shouldn't be, but maybe a couple sprinkled in with the rest of these guys that they're bringing in through the portal.
I don't know if people hype stuff. I think people go into the season expecting to have a good season. I don't know that I would want a coach that says we're going to suck. And, I'm going with that attitude. So I don't know that anybody's hyping anything. I think you go in there and expect some things didn't work out for Arkansas last year. And it wasn't the season that, just like the basketball season, not the season that we expected. But, that happens. And the biggest thing, Jason, with Arkansas right now, I'm going to tell you the biggest thing that they've got going on over there, and they've got to figure out, they've got to start winning some of these close games. That's bitten them in the butt 2 years in a row. I don't know what happened in Razorback Stadium this year, but the efforts there was pathetic. But they've got to figure out what's going on in these close games and win their share of them. If they do that, we wouldn't be having these conversations about Pittman being on the hot seat and stuff. You've got to win. You're going to have close games in the SEC. That's not going away. And it's just something you've got to deal with, but you've got to win your share of them. You can't lose all of them. And Arkansas losing just about all of them, and you can't do that and survive. And that's where I think Petrino comes into play. I really do. Maybe I'm hyping Petrino too much. I don't know. Who knows? But all I know is what I'm going, but what I've seen and what I know about the guy. I don't think I'm hyping him too much. Maybe I am, but he's very good at what he does. And I think he will make a difference in some of these games. And people say he didn't make a difference at A&M. That's just not true. He had his hands tied with Jimbo down there, and he still took that offense from being like 120 or something down to like 20 or something in 1 year. And that was with his hands tied. And do I think Sam will tie his hands here? No, I don't. Sam's going to have an input on the offense. He's the head coach. That's why I've never understood people saying, well, you can't. He's the head coach. Leave the offensive coordinator alone. Seldom does the head coach is going to have his head involved in everything. That's just the way it works. But I think that the biggest thing right now is just win some of these close games. I think the Fayetteville stuff, I don't know what happened in their home games, but they were terrible. but you can't do
They
that.
will.
But you got to start winning some of these close games. And I think if you would, where the offense comes into play, I do think, honestly, I know they went up 6-0, dominated LSU, but they settled for 2 field goals, and you just knew, Jason, that was going to bite them in the butt, and it did. If you can get touchdowns there instead of field goals, I think they beat LSU.
Different complexion of the entire season.
And I think if you win some of those early games, be it Ole Miss, LSU,
BYU, yeah.
you don't have that collapse at the end of the year against Auburn and Missouri. I don't think you do. Maybe you do, but I don't think so. And so it's going to be important. And they've got the same setup this year. You open the Rock just like last year. They'll blow out UAPB. But then you go to Oklahoma State. Then you come back home. You play UAPB or UAB. And then you go to Auburn, and then you go to Arlington. And so you've got to win some of those. You can't lose to Auburn, A&M, and Oklahoma State. You've got to win a couple of those games. And if you come out of that 4-1, obviously you want to be 5-0. But if you come out of that 4-1, I think you'll see them
looking pretty good
as the season goes along. And you've got some open dates. You've got 2 open dates this year instead of 1. And one of them before the Texas game, but the other one I believe is for LSU, isn't it, Jason?
It is. Yep, it is.
You got LSU and Texas. You'll have 2 weeks to prepare for them.
You're giving Bobby Petrino 2 weeks to prepare for Texas and LSU. Man,
I think the game will be interesting. People writing that off as an automatic loss. I don't know about that. I know they're talented. I know they're talented, but I don't know. I mean, that game's here. Well, a lot's going to depend, too. That game's late in the season. It may depend, too. It may depend on where's Arkansas at by then.
Yeah.
Are they, I think that's like the 10th game, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I mean, if Arkansas is 2-7 or 3-6 entering that, it may be a blowout. Whatever. I'm just saying, if Arkansas, whenever that game is, I know it's late. I think it's the 10th game, but whatever it is, we're the 9th or 10th. If they're if they've only won 2 or 3 games at that point, it may be a blowout. But I think if Arkansas has a winning record and stuff and is playing decent football, I don't think you'll see a collapse at the end of the year. But to get there, you've got to win so many close games, and that's not just last year. That was a problem the year before. You had all them close losses, be it Liberty, be it whoever, and you lose all these close games, and you just can't do that.
Honestly, the catalyst in that formula is finding a quarterback that is ready to start, that's ready to lead, and to put his team in the best position to win. If Bobby can find that within the first week, he depending on how the UAPB game goes, you might see a different quarterback in the Oklahoma State game. You don't know. But it all depends on finding consistency. And if he can find consistency early, then that's going to be great for Arkansas throughout the rest of the season. But if there are some problems with consistency, I mean, it could be a bumpy road.
Well, you're going to have consistency at quarterback because, and you got to have somebody. I think the team likes those two. Hopefully, they like both those kids. I know they like Jacoby, and hopefully, they like the Boise State kid, and they come in. I think there were some problems on that team last year. You had when even Isaiah Satana comes out and says that you got rid of some of the locker room
cancers.
Yeah, it's just you could see it. There was some of them just simply didn't like some of the players, and it's obvious. One of them they were talking about was KJ. I'll never believe anything else. I'd heard a lot of stuff about that, and I think Rocket was right there too. But anyway, we'll see. Hopefully, this stuff works out. I look for a real battle. I love KJ Jackson and Malachi, but I think in Austin Ledbetter. But I think the battle is going to be between the Boise kid and the
Kalen Green and.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to be. The battle is going to be for the starting spot there. And running back's an interesting position. But it's a little bit different. Whereas quarterback, they're probably going to play one guy for the most part when the game's on the line. But running back, they may play 3 or 4 there, 2 or 3 for sure. Probably 3 for sure. And I think you'll see, obviously, the kid from Utah. I think you'll see the kid from Florida that came on late last year. And then, of course, Rashad's going to be in there. And Braylon Russell and Dominic Johnson. You've got 5 possibilities right there, Jason. And I think they can all. And there's a role for everybody. Dominic probably has the lesser role, but I think there's some roles for Dominic. He showed God, I'm not going to write that kid off. He's had knee surgeries on both knees, major knee surgeries, and I've written him off so many times, thinking, hopefully he'll hang it up so he can walk when he's 35-year-old. But man, he has fought back and played and
Just keeps
produced.
going.
Yeah, so you got to respect that. So I like all them. Braylon Russell has a chance. Sam told me he answered my question. It wasn't like he just told me, but he answered my question at the press conference on signing day, on the early signing day, that he thinks Russell will play this year. Because I asked, and I do too. And so, but I think the kid, the starting battle may come down to the kid from Utah, the kid from Florida, the running back from Florida that played last year late, and of course Rashad. So I think that's where it may come down to one of those three as starters. And you could see there'll probably be an injury or two along the way there. That usually are, as you said earlier, running backs tend to get hurt. We'll see how all that out. But
it was nice to see what Augustov had. I mean, he has a lot of pop there at the end of the season with Dominion, and they complemented each other really well. And that's what, hell, I mean, that's even what you see on the basketball team right now. There's no complement play. And you saw that on the football field last year, and that was obvious, and it was apparent whenever you lose 7-3 to Mississippi State at home. So I think that once you kind of cleanse the locker room a little bit as far as getting some folks that might not mesh well with others, and you start to get more chemistry and camaraderie. I mean, hell, Isaiah said that they weren't that far off. They were just a little off. It wasn't like they were miles away. They were really close.
Well, and that was my point about the early games. If you win those early games, and you don't have to win them all, but if you win your share of those early games, you don't see the collapse at the end, and you don't see the 4-8 record. That's where but there again, it can be the same way this year if they don't take care of the early games. I'm assuming you're going to beat UAPB. I'm assuming you're going to beat UAB, but you've got Oklahoma State there, you've got Auburn there, and you've got A&M. You can't come out of that 2-3. You've got to take care of business in those games. Hell, even if you just win one of those, you're 3-2, and then you've got you've got a chance to make some noise. And when Tennessee comes to Fayetteville to start October, but you cannot start out losing all those games because it's going to snowball again, and that's what you've got to avoid. I mean, you got to win some of those. You really need to be 4-1 at the end of September. Will it be? I don't know, but that's where you need to be. And at worst, absolute worst, got to be 3-2. But you cannot lose all those games. If you do, no matter how much these kids like each other or whatever happens, the negativity is going to start, and it's going to snowball, man. And who knows what will happen by the time they get to Texas and Missouri and those Louisiana Tech on down the road. That's why you've got to take care of business early, Jason. And this is a big September for Sam Pittman and this whole football team. It's huge September, man.
It is. Well, Otis, man, let's get you out of here. I know you got Prospect Day down on campus here in a little bit. And everybody, I want to thank you all for joining us today. I want to thank Coy Southern East. And, I know that we were up against College Game Day here on campus. We really appreciate y'all jumping on with us because, I mean, y'all could have been easily watching that, but you're on here with us, and we want to thank you for that too as well.
You do.
And for Otis, myself, Jason, I want to thank y'all for jumping on with us today, and have a great day.
Thanks, man.